What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be taking a look at a title called The First Men, and this one's a little bit of a weirdie. Like, this one's really hard to describe, but I kind of like that about it. You guys will know that I'm naturally attracted to the really odd games that basically butt convention and do whatever they want to do, and they don't even, like, care about attracting, like, a certain market. They're not copying any kind of game. TFM is a really weird one, and we covered it about 8 months ago as part of a Steam festival. They had sent over a demo, and The First Men is coming out very soon, on November 2nd, in fact, so you've got a couple of weeks after this video until the game comes out. Now, what is The First Men? Well, The First Men is kind of an odd game. When we played the demo was basically like there's like an orcish apocalypse coming and you had to build up a colony and get ready to survive that, basically. And it was kind of like a war between the gods that you were a part of in organizing this colony. This time around, it's a little bit different. Like, they've added a lot of things to the game that didn't exist previously in the demo. Now you can draft and control individual characters. It's taken on a few more, like, RPG aspects, but it is largely almost like an auto-colony survival game, if such a thing could even be described. And so this is a game where you don't really have a whole lot of manual control over your village. You can tell them where to build things, you can tell them what to build, but all the activities they do on the in-between of that are going to be based on the traits that you've selected for them through the game's kind of complex level-up system that every character has. And along the way, your society is going to be growing by collecting certain currencies that you can then spend on, like, empathetic traits and things of that nature, or like violent traits in order to adapt to threats. It's an odd game, and you kind of have to see it while it runs in order to make sense of it. And so anyways, today we're going to dive on in, spend about 30 minutes with the game, see if it's something you wanted to add to your wish list or otherwise pass on. I got a link for you down below in the description that'll take you on over to the Steam Early Access page, and then on top of that, you can also take a look at my Discord and my Twitch stream just in case you wanted to hang out live. For right now, not all the campaigns are in the game. There are the Arcadians, so the human race are deemed worthy of the utopian gardens of Arcadia. And so anyways, this is basically just kind of like the sandbox mode. There's not going to be a lot of exterior threats or things that you have to deal with. Instead, this just allows you to build freely in kind of like a safe environment. And ultimately, this is kind of like the cultural victory map. What they want you to do is build up your colony to the point where you can unlock the Arcadian Gate, which allows you to travel in between the various realms. And so anyways, that's what you do right there. Lindaris over here is apparently, let me read through it real fast. Apparently, this is like a default start, but the Phantom Lord Zardos is here, whatever that means. Probably a threat that we have to deal with. And then, of course, there are Memorial, which is the demo that we played. And this is the one where you had to, like, murder a bunch of faction keepers to get, like, these fragments of shards to assemble, like, a thing, basically, in order to deal with kind of, like, the end times. Let's try out Lindaris. That sounds fun. It sounds like there's like a chaos dragon or something on this map. That feels like it'll probably be enjoyable. So basically, there are going to be evil waves of minions coming after us. We have to protect the depth crawler at all costs. He may not die, and then we have to go murder Zardos. All right, I've never done this before, but I'll give it a go. Let's take a look at the map real fast. Like, who is this depth crawler? Why is he crawling through the depths? Where is he at, and how do I protect him? I have questions. At the beginning of the game, we start out with colonists. So we have, it looks like Maureen over here. We have Alpha. His name is just Alpha. I don't know if that was just wishful thinking when they named him or what, but his name is Alpha. And then we have Anne as well over here. Is that everybody that I have? Oh, I have many more people too. I have Shauna over here. I have Kieran over here. All right, so we've got a number of people around. All these guys have level ups, 2 level ups specifically, that we're going to be able to use to specialize what they do in the context of our society and kind of get some industry going. But let's talk a little bit about the UI, because this game can be a tiny bit intimidating. So in the top left-hand corner, we have the character list. This is where you're going to manage your characters and do all your level ups, things of that nature. We've got our crafts. This basically lists everything that everyone in your colony can otherwise build or craft. That includes buildings, that includes foods, things of that nature. Everything in this game is going to have a color around it. That's because everything in this game is associated with a certain idea or a certain esoteric trait. So everything that has to do with green has to do with the body and has to do with kind of like, not necessarily strength, but of like agility and dexterity and sort of litheness and body control. Blue is issues of the mind and of thinking. Red is of issues of the heart, which is like passion and fighting and violence and combat. White is sort of like diplomacy and counseling and the idea of like spiritually guiding. And then black is the idea of not really like selfishness, but like the idea and the recognition of self, and that the self has needs in the world before you can kind of deal with other people's nonsense. And you'll get what I mean once you start seeing some of the traits and things that we level on into. We have the relationship menu. This is going to let us know who we're allied with, who we are friends with, who we're enemies with. We have traditions. This is basically how you get yourself new technologies and new areas to study. We need 1,100 of these little tablets over here for the next level up to get like basically a new technology. We can learn astrology, or we could learn farming, or we could learn animal husbandry, or like metaphysics for like our priests. There's also adaptations. Adaptations are effectively evolutions that your society will undergo that give every single person in your society a certain bonus as a part of being in that culture. These are the things that are like the rock bottom foundational aspects that define you as a society. You know, so like for someone like the Spartans, that would be like war and discipline. Those sorts of things would be inside of here, and everyone will kind of behave in accordance with those traditions. Aside from that, you can see what currencies you have over here. Once again, these are associated with the various colors. Green, blue, red, white, black, Magic the Gathering. We get, anytime we do any activity of these corresponding colors, so like, for example, gathering is a green activity, we will get green points. Blue is matters of the mind, so when somebody does something that has to do with building or something intellectual or crafting, you will get blue points. When you do fighting, you will get red points, so on and so forth, and you can spend those to buy perks that are on these characters. And the points can be used on anybody you want. Now, we got a little bit of flavor text down here. Zardus' minions are going to charge in waves from the northwest to the southeast where the depth crawler is. Protect the water elemental at all costs by making sure the waves are blocked before they get to him. You can always check the remaining time for the next wave in the relationships tab. That's good to know. And so the first wave is coming in 40 minutes. We might not even get to see it inside the confines of this video because we've really got a lot of ground to cover. But I will say that the music on this map is a little bit more intense and a little bit more Scorpion King than when I was just sandboxing it up on the Arcadian map, doing whatever I wanted. Let's do our level ups. So we kind of want to look at everybody's stats because everybody has stats that correspond to those colors that I told you as well. And we want to give them jobs that are specific to the colors that they have. So for example, Alpha over here, he's got a great deal of skill in the green arts, and he's got a little bit in black as well. So we would probably want to multi-class him in between body and self. If we wanted to get the maximum mileage out of him. So by clicking on this right here, you will get a number of paths that the character can take. An obvious one for a character that's very strong in green would be to give him the path of a gatherer. So now, when he's in his free time, he'll just wander around and gather mushrooms. He'll gather sticks. He'll do that kind of stuff. His next level up, you want to be very careful about this, is that we can either take a generic path by clicking on this right here. We can take a green path by clicking on the already predisposed green gathering talents that we gave him, or we can take a new one from the generic list that came up at level 1 into level 2. And so if we wanted to multi-class him, chances are we would probably want to give him Entertainer because he's got black skill points. And so there we go. We'll make him an entertainer, so in his free time, he will attempt to make other people happy in between his gathering tasks. Kieran over here is pretty good at counseling, and he's pretty good at self. And so we would probably want him to be our caretaker. Caretakers are going to be the village teachers. They're going to raise the children, and when people have problems, they're going to come talk to the caretaker. So there we go. We'll line that on up. And then aside from being a caretaker, we probably want to give him something that modifies self. So he can get +2 to self right there if he wanted to. Except that it looks like this really only benefits female characters because it's lustful and it increases their chance to get pregnant. And so, anyways, this will just boost his self-stat, but he's not really going to do much with it. We could make him humble. That will give him more soul and level him up to 10. Or we could give him a generic gathering task, like we could make him a hunter or something like that. I'm going to keep him as a counselor for right now, I think. We could make him a philosopher. Yeah, let's make him a philosopher, because then he'll generate these little tablets right here that allow us to do societal advancements in our traditions and get new jobs. Anne is actually, we've got a lot of people. She's a mind character. Good. So we're going to make her an artisan. And after making her an artisan, we could level up her mind one more time, or we could level up her heart and make her better at combat. We could also go with War Crafter, which will unlock specific weapon and armor crafting options. Given the fact that we are at war with a Chaos Dragon, I think that's a really good idea. So we're going to go ahead and take that. Unfortunately, it's a red attribute, so we might want to level up her red a little bit if we can, just to make her better and faster at it. Sienna. Sienna looks like she's got mostly selfishness. So what I would do is I would consider the possibility... Let's make her an entertainer, I guess. And her secondary traits, she doesn't really have a whole lot to run with. She could be an innkeeper that will provide service to traveling visitors. She could be a bard, which will inspire our people, or she could be whimsical. Let's make her into a bard, and their clothing will change as we change up their jobs. Now, in the case of Maureen, she's got a lot of mind, and really the problem we've run into here is we don't have anybody to be a warrior or a hunter. However, they do get XP in these aspects when they do these tasks, so as a function of utility, I think I'm going to force Maureen to be a hunter and get out there and fight and be a little bit stronger. We can specialize what we want her to hunt, or we can look for traits that boost up her hunting traits. But we don't really have any of those right now. So I think what I'll do is let's look at the animals that we have on the map, what we have a lot of around, and we could specialize her as a huntress. Or we could make her an aspiring adventurer. That'll increase her power by 3, and I think power is how hard she hits, if I remember correctly. You can mouse over. We've got haste and we've got power. Modifies outgoing damage. Yes. So let's go ahead and we'll go for adventuring over here. So an adventurous huntress. That sounds good. And now that we've got everybody's jobs assigned, we can actually play their game. Everybody's going to go out and do stuff, and that's pretty much it. Alpha looks like he started with a club, so we're going to go ahead and bind that to him so that he's actually got a weapon. Does everybody have a weapon, or was it only Alpha that had a weapon at the beginning? It was only Alpha that really had a weapon at the beginning. Now, these two spots right here are the gathering spots. So one of these is specifically the Prosperity Mound. They will gather up food, and they will bring it back over to here, and it will generate green points. This is the Industry Mound for anything that's crafted, like weapons or armor or like tools. They will craft those and bring them back over to here, and it will grant us blue points. We do have our Hunter already going out to do hunter guy stuff, and it looks like she's trying to murder a rabbit. With her bare hands, that's probably not going to go incredibly well, so let's see if we can remedy that, because a hunter needs a hunter's weapon. Over here, the first men are craving the sacred fruit. I saw a gathering fruit in the stockpile. I should eat it before anybody else does, with a little bit of a typo right there. Do we have a gathering fruit? Actually, we do have a whole bunch of stuff in here. We have a gun. We have a spear. We have basically some kind of kestis. We have a scrap mace. We have an axe. We have armor. And we have a bone cap. So what we're going to want to do here is I think we're going to want to take, so like Kieran, for example. We're going to want Kieran to have that spear because it's associated with the white stat. We're going to want Anne to have this mace because it's associated with the blue stat. We are going to want the axe on Alpha because it's associated with the green stat. And then what else do we have going on around here? I mean, I would very much like to give stuff to Maureen, but I don't understand why Maureen can't equip anything, but everyone else can. I went through all of her traits and everything, and there weren't any traits or anything inside of here that made it seem like she can't equip anything. And so anyways, I'm a little bit vexed about this. Maybe it's because she was engaged in combat. Maybe that's what it was. Either way, our huntress should have a gun. That's what she should have. So let's go ahead and... Oh, she can't equip the gun? Oh, she has to have 10 self in order to equip that. Okay, well, I'm learning things now. We've got, like, stat thresholds and stuff. Everybody's got their thing on them, so that's fine. Like, we sort of, like, organize stuff. She could equip a gun. She's got 10 self. All right, well, just throw it back on the pile then. We'll throw it in there. Let's take a look at our crafting list and see what we can build for right now. We can make a bunch of swords and things. We can make slingshots. We can make an adventurer's training dummy, which is not a bad idea. Nursery is where children are born, so that's also a good idea. Let's start out with a crafting table. And Anne, if you could just mash out a crafting table for me, that'd be fantastic. Thank you. We also should probably get a shrine. And Kieran is our religious guy, so we'll put the shrine right there by the tree. We've also got a speech platform, which I think we'll probably put next to the shrine. We can't really, like, rotate any of this stuff as far as I know, but we'll kind of put that off to the side over there. There we go. And now that we've got that done, we're going to want to scrap slingshot for our huntress. It's going to allow her to engage from further away. And then with the adventurer's training dummy, I would also like for her to just go ahead and mash one of those out so that she can get better at fighting in her downtime. There we go. And so all of those things should now be underway. The game does have multiple speeds at which you can play it. So there's like slow, normal, and fast, just in case you want things to go quicker. I'll kick it on up to fast, just because maybe we'll get to see the fight happen if we kick it on up to fast. Like, we're already kind of like a little far back in the video, but like... Maybe. Just maybe. It's possible. Doesn't look like it's going down that fast, but we'll see what happens. The shrine has been put down. Basically, philosophers will pray at this shrine, as you can see him kind of like doing right now. And basically, it fills up like a little meter, and when it fills up the meter, it gives you an item called a purifying essence. I don't remember exactly what the purifying essence does, or if we have one, but consumables in this game are quite good. They have, like, far-reaching effects, like make someone pregnant, or cures every single negative problem that person currently has on them. And so the crafty boy things can be pretty good. All right, so Anne is working on the crafting bench. Once that's done, a scrap slingshot has already been done, so that's great. We're going to go ahead and take that and give it to Maureen. And then on Maureen's character sheet, we're going to have her bind that. She now has more abilities right here. You can control these characters in combat and do sort of like tab target fighting. Like you can click on these and it'll make them do it like World of Warcraft style. But anyway, she should be able to hunt a little bit better now that she has a slingshot and bring back a little bit more like influence and stuff. We're not really generating a lot of resources right now. That's largely due to the fact that we're not doing a lot of activities. She just gathered a stick, and so that gave us a whole bunch of black points right there. She did a crafting table, which should increase the amount of things that we can do. So we can make a hammer pouch. What does a hammer pouch do? Removes the need to visit the gathering tree to get a hammer every time. That's pretty good, actually, for our mental person. Yeah, and go ahead and build one of those. It saves you a trip on stuff, and I like that. We can also do a rocky road. These are only for decorative purposes. Fair enough. I didn't want to build one anyways. And there's our training dummy right there. And as you can see, Maureen is beginning to bash the training dummy. If these meters behind all these stats go down, they'll get a little skull right here. That's called a fatal flaw. They'll call it a body flaw or a mind flaw or a fatal heart or whatever else. You can purge those at very, very specific workbenches or very specific things like the shrine or like a house that they live inside of. Well, she tried to do a hunt. You did your best. You did your best, Chief. I believed in you, and you did your best, but it's just the way that she goes. They will level up these stats as they do activities. We want that hammer pouch to go to Anne. There we go, since she's our builder and our artisan. Yeah, and so we'll want her to bind that into her trinket spot to save her movements in between locations. Maureen is down here training. I don't know what stat that's training. Kind of hard to say. She's generating something by training right there. But she is also tired, and she'll need to basically restore some of these pretty soon. Because doing an activity that has a certain color assigned to it drains that stat until they rest. Oh, good, she got the rabbit. There you go. So she's bringing back the meat and the carcass, and she got like some... Yeah, she leveled up her heart right there. So she's got 7 heart. Very nice. There's a gatherer's sharpened rock. When you gather plain shrooms, you will get extra prosperity. I mean, I suppose we could. Did we just get like a new item? How come everything moved? I don't know. Stuff moved, but anyways. Looks like she's making something. What are you making? Apparently she's making scrap tools. Is that an item that's actually going to get added into the stockpile? Like, is that a thing that I should be worried about? Scrap tools? I don't see it in the stockpile. So as of right now, I don't know. But we just kind of need to chillax for a little bit and let people do activities. Because when they get 100 of these path points right here from doing an activity, they will level up and we can give them new activities, which will then in turn give us new buildings, so on and so forth. It's kind of like an interesting little process. Looks like she's maybe adventuring. No, she's attacking a bird. No, a rat. That's what that is. The rat's going to run away, though. I don't know if she's going to catch it. Either way, she should just do her thing for right now. She's leveling up her path points very, very nicely. If you wanted a synopsis where everybody's at in their overall level up progress, you just take a look right here, and when this ring fills up, they have enough points to level, basically. Since we don't have a nursery, I will have Kieran build one so that babies can be born. So we'll go ahead and put that right there. But that's pretty much the last building that we need to build before we unlock new technologies. So we're pretty much just kind of like at idle time right now, where people are going to be like, you know, shooting prey and going on random adventures. And, oh, this guy's got like a little mushroom hat. Yeah, he's got like a little mushroom hat on. Interesting. Has he leveled up enough to use the scrap axe? Oh no, he's got a fatal body flaw. When that gets up to 9, he'll die. And so we really need to provide a building that gets rid of body flaws, basically. Hey, our nursery is up and running. Ooh, and somebody's doing like a sermon over here, reciting a poem, The Gathering of Life. Was she our bard? Is that what she was doing? Oh, she's a slacker bard. I feel like that kind of fits. I feel like that comes together. But yeah, a lot of the stuff in this game is kind of emergent. Like the colony building portion of the game is not really the focus. It's a side effect of the RPG progression of your colonists. And I think that's what kind of makes this game a little bit more distinct in that regard. Makes it pop kind of. Oh, he can equip the spear now too. Good. We'll equip the spear because may come a time where we need to protect ourselves fairly soon. A mud bug? That's the biggest crawdad I've ever seen in my life. I grew up mud bugging, and that's a big old... What's wrong with her right now? She's idle? I guess she doesn't really have any crafting stuff to do. Suppose I could put her on something. She can use her mace now, too. Yeah, make a couple gatherers sharpened rocks then, at least, so you're still, like, leveling up, I guess. Marine is off murdering everything in the hinterland. I actually think I should probably give the sacred fruit to our gatherer. We got a thing here that gives 100 path points. And who was our gatherer? Kieran? The guy, no, it's Alpha with the mushroom hat. Alright, so Alpha, what I want you to do is just go ahead and, like, eat this thing. So grants 100 path points and cleanses fatal traits. A character cannot benefit twice until it wears off. Okay. Doesn't actually look like there's an eat option here, so I don't know how I get him to eat the gathering fruit. It says it's a consumable, but, like, what if I send it back to the stockpile? Does it change its options around here? He's gathering a plain shroom right now, so we should probably send this little trinket over to Alpha and have him bind it up because he gets extra green points whenever he gathers a thing. Oh, somebody leveled up. Maureen leveled up, our Huntress. All right, so Huntress, what do you want to do over here? We've got Nemophilist. We've got Emotional. These are mostly going to be stat boosts over here. So we could give +2 to body and more HP on that one. The other option is we could specialize their hunting traits so that they only go after specific enemies. We could also work on adventuring, apparently, which we could do around here and make them, like, adrenal. Oh, yeah, they get HP back in combat while they're fighting. That actually might be pretty good. There's a bunch of good things inside of here. We could also just make her a berserker, but I feel like the further I get into this, like, fighting category, the less she's gonna hunt. And that's where the vast majority of our red points are coming from right now. I don't know. Maybe not for right now. Maybe instead we go for something that, like, it's going to cost us 125 green to do that. Okay. We could make her a fisher, but I don't think we really have any water around, so I don't think that's going to help. A reptile hunter. Yeah, I guess just get +2 heart. That's fine. We'll just take a stat boost, and we'll figure out what we want to do after that. Apparently, oh, she's emotional. Okay. Gotcha. Kieran over here, who was kind of our spiritual counselor, he can take a +1 to soul, or we can give him other jobs, although he's mostly just been doing the philosopher thing lately. Oh, she's eating the gathering fruit. Well, she's about to get a free level up, so that's fine. Apparently, they just kind of eat it in their inventory eventually. But anyways, back to you, sir. What do I want you to do? I want to spread my jobs too thin. So let's convert purifying essences to a curing essence that removes injuries, focuses on brainstorming ideas and goals, can craft lore stones that can be consumed to give quests to adventurers. The soul cleanser can convert purifying essence into a soul cleansing essence that removes a quirk, but you lose track of yourself. We can do an enlightening essence, which apparently levels somebody up instantly, the Virtue Granter. I'll probably just go Lesson Memorizer, because I want somebody to raise the kids once we've got the children's around. And then she's about to level up pretty soon, too. But yeah, I need, like, new crafts and stuff. I need people to get some new jobs, or maybe some new people around here to make our society a little bit more crunchy and adaptable. I'm waiting on him to level up. That's who I really want to level up, because I'm going to teach him woodcutting, I think, which should give us access to a couple different buildings that get rid of fatal flaws. We've also got our first adaptation, which cost us almost all of our black points. But all Fireborn gain +1 mind. All Peacemaker characters have a chance to get a white personality after work time activities. Raging Muscles. All Earthborn characters gain 1 heart. And all Shadowborn characters gain a permanent +1. What do we have the most of? So we have Shadowborn. I just kind of want to see what everybody is. We have Shadowborn. Shadowborn. It looks like the majority of our colony will benefit from whatever makes Shadowborn stronger. So I'm just going to do that. We've got a lot of Shadowborns around here as part of their starting traits. And so anyways, since the majority of our people find delight in shadow, we'll go ahead and reward them for that. Why not? Our artisan has also leveled up because she ate that fruit. So we can make her a more adaptable artisan, so she can learn to basically make specific weapons, chainmail, daggers, firearms. Okay. The other option is we can give them a flat stat boost if we wanted to do so. Or we could multi-class them into, like, a collector or something like that so that they're doing more activities. Let's go collector for now because she's about to level up anyways, and this means that she'll go out and gather stones and sticks and things that we can use for crafting and whatnot. And then we pretty much just got to wait for Alpha to level up. Hey, Alpha went and got himself a level. Good. With Alpha, I need him to have, like, another job, I think. Like, something that sort of increases what we can accomplish around the farm here. Like, something that gives us, like, woodworking. Cook. Cook isn't a bad idea. because, like, he's not going to cook unless I tell him to cook. And so I think having the cooking station is a good plan, because then when we have a lot of food built up, I can put him on, like, a cooking spree. And a lot of the foods in this game give, like, bonus XP, or they get rid of, like, one of your fatal flaws. We also have quests, by the way, from these other relations that we have. So, like, apparently the Goldmane Trading Company, there are 3 warp gates on this map, and enemies come through them. And if they want us to kill those enemies, and if we kill those enemies, we can keep their stuff. And then apparently the Stormbeards are the menders of the Depth Crawler, apparently. And so that's the main quest, that they want us to protect the Depth Crawler. But it does seem like there's, like, activities here and stuff to focus on. And you leveled up again. Look at you over here being just a leveling fool. Well, copper miner, woodcutter, efficient collector. I think armor sounds pretty good, but having her be a woodcutter as well, we're kind of spreading her a little bit thin right now, so I think we're going to need another crafter pretty soon that can, like, go into more focused goods. But if we give her that right there, I'm pretty sure that allows us to make wooden huts so that people have a place to sleep, and they can sleep to get rid of their skulls. We can also get a bathroom over here, which I don't even know what the bathroom does, but apparently we have a bathroom now. There we go. We'll throw the bathroom over there. It looks like we can now craft makeshift hatchets. Yeah, we kind of started out with stuff that allowed us to skip all the intermediary gear, and you get through it pretty fast, so I'm not really that worried about it. So basically, we have to have firewood, and we need to have tree trunks inside our inventory before we can craft those. And as you can see, she's now chopping down trees. So that should be forthcoming before too long. We should have the requisite stuff in order to continue building up the colony. But yeah, this is a really, really weird, odd game. I like it for that reason, though. Like, I don't know how far the depth is going to go in early access, but it does seem like there's things here to fiddle with. And things here to really kind of mess around with. I think I'm going to have to get some new colonists, too. And so we may use some of the pregnancy cocktails or whatever they are. I don't know. There we go. The impregnation salves apparently will allow us to have some children born around here. And then our guy who's walking around with the spear and worshiping the stone over here, he'll become a teacher that'll raise the children faster. And then we could give them specializations. And then there's actually, like, layers of complication there as well, because, like, if a character in this game is pregnant and they eat food, that food also has a color associated with it, and it increases the foods they eat while they're pregnant increase the chances that the baby will be born with certain traits of different colors and whatnot. And so you can sort of, like, have almost like an eating breeding program in order to end up with, like, children that start out with all blue traits or, like, all green traits in order to fill in gaps in your overall operation. We also have food available right now, I think, which we should be able to mash out. Yeah, grilled rodent meat over here. We can have Alpha do that, and the plain shroom soup, and he'll get green points for that anyways, so it's like the same thing as he'll get, like, bigger batches of green points for the colony than he will gathering off of trees and whatnot. So make sure you're using your crafting materials in this game in order to make stuff, because you will get, like, a payout for that. Unfortunately, we're still not going to be under attack for a while, but combat in this game is pretty simple. Like, when you see our Huntress attack something, that's quite legitimately just what combat looks like in this game. It's just like RimWorld. If they're in melee, they'll smack each other over and over and over again, and if you catch it, you can click buttons to have them use extra skills, and if they're ranged, they'll sit back and shoot. Like, it's pretty much it, and then everybody in this game has HP. If it goes down to 0, they end up getting basically, you know, totaled. Who leveled up? Sienna? What was Sienna doing? Oh, Sienna was our bard. That's what it was. Yeah, I don't know what I would want to do with Sienna. Tough call. She doesn't really have a whole lot in other places. I might consider putting her on Gatherer, but I don't know if it would actually really be worth it. She didn't really get any bonuses that I'm super stoked about here. I guess we could buff up her bard songs so they generate more black points so that we get more adaptations. Probably not too bad of an idea. Hey, the plain shroom soup is done. The plain shroom soup is done. Maureen apparently also leveled up. Well, almost. Very, very nearly leveled up while she was chopping down that tree. As far as our crafts go, give me everything here, and let me see what we can do. I want to build a wooden hut, but we have not brought back enough tree trunks yet. I could make firewood right now pretty easily, and then we could make the bonfire. Yes. I don't see the bonfire in here, but there is a bonfire building that you can build. There it is. Apparently it's a white building. And so anyways, the bonfire allows people to sit there and stare at the fire, and it replenishes their willpower, which is their blue right here. Much, much quicker than just, like, napping or whatever else. And so anyways, like, this is a cool game with, like, interesting stuff. I get the feeling you're going to have to play, like, some long sessions to really get a feel for the way that your society evolves and, like, the right and wrong choices that come up during the course of the game when building your colony. But I do think the idea is very, very intriguing, if not only for the reason that it's a colony survival game that goes really, really wide and far away from, like, what RimWorld is doing to play around with its own really, really kind of creative esoteric idea. And so anyways, this is The First Men. Hopefully this helped you out in deciding whether or not this is the kind of game for you. Like I said, almost like a little bit of a God game, where a lot of the time you're just going to be sitting back and kind of just like waiting to see what happens. But at the same time, sometimes that can also be entertaining. Anyways, I'll catch y'all later. Thank you for swinging on through. I'll be back tomorrow with something hot and fresh off the indie skillet, but up until then, it's time for me to go, my friends. Catch y'all next time. Bye.